Have you ever had a moment where one sentence, just one sentence, shattered everything you believed about your family? Because that's exactly what happened to me. My name is Ariana Cole, I'm 29, and until that morning I truly believed my family loved me, maybe not perfectly, maybe not loudly, but loved me. I was wrong. I was standing in my small kitchen in Portland, Oregon, sunlight pouring through the window, warming the chipped countertop I kept promising myself I'd replace someday. The kettle hissed, the smell of fresh coffee filled the air. And I was smiling like a child on Christmas morning. I held a cream-colored wedding invitation with gold edges. Thick paper, embossed lettering. My older brother Ethan, the golden boy of the Cole family, was finally getting married. Everyone adored him. Handsome, successful, charming. And me? I was the quiet one. The sensitive one. The one who cried too easily, who cared too much. But today none of that mattered. I bought a beautiful navy dress that actually made me feel confident. I'd spent hours writing a speech about how proud I was of Ethan. I booked a hotel near the venue so I wouldn't be late. I even requested time off work, a miracle in itself. I wanted to be there. I wanted to belong. I dialed my mom's number, pacing excitedly. She picked up. "Hey Mom. I can't wait for the wedding tomorrow." Silence. Not the kind where someone's distracted or confused. A cold, heavy silence. Then her voice came through the speaker. Flat, clipped as if I'd interrupted something important. "Ariana, the wedding was last week." My smile froze. "What?" My voice cracked like thin glass. She cleared her throat. "We must have sent the wrong date." I stared at the invitation in my hand. The date was printed clearly in elegant script. Tomorrow. I wasn't imagining it. I wasn't mistaken. I swallowed hard. "Mom, the invitation says." She cut me off. "It's done. Everyone had a wonderful time." Her tone wasn't apologetic. It wasn't sad. It was irritated, like I was the one causing trouble. I leaned against the counter, my knees weak. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. Why didn't anyone tell me? She exhaled sharply. "We didn't want drama, Ariana. It was better this way." Better for who? Better how? My heart pounded in my ears. I heard clinking glasses, laughter in the background. They were celebrating again. Maybe reliving the event. Maybe watching videos. Without me. I whispered, "Mom, did you not want me there?" She didn't deny it. She didn't comfort me. She just said, "We need to go." Then she hung up. I stood there, phone in my hand, trying to breathe. At first my brain tried to protect me. Maybe it was a mix-up. Maybe someone forgot. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. But deep inside I felt a quiet truth rising like a tide I couldn't stop. This wasn't an accident. This was planned. A sharp pain spread through my chest, not just from the exclusion, but from the realization that they didn't even try to hide it. No frantic apologies. No frantic explanations. Just, "It's done." My hands trembled as I set the phone down. The wedding invitation slipped from my fingers and fluttered onto the floor, landing face up like it wanted me to look at it again, to feel the sting. Gold letters. Beautiful design. And a lie. I sank onto a stool, staring at the worn tiles beneath my feet. Every memory of being left out flooded back. My brother's graduation party I forgot to be invited to. Thanksgiving dinners where they claimed there wasn't enough space. Family photos posted online that I only found out about through Facebook. But I had always given them excuses. Oh, they must have thought I was busy. They probably assumed I couldn't make it. I should have been more involved. I blamed myself every time. Until now. Because suddenly everything clicked into place. I wasn't forgotten. I was unwanted. And then the anger came. Hot. Sharp. Fierce. Not because they excluded me from a wedding, but because I spent years trying to earn a place I never truly had. I thought about the late-night calls where Mom cried about bills and I sent money. The times Ethan needed help moving and I dropped everything. The birthdays, holidays, and milestones where I showed up. Even when they didn't show up for me. All the emotional labor. All the guilt. All the effort. And for what? So they could celebrate the biggest day in our family without me? I picked up the invitation again, gripping it so tightly the edges bent. I whispered into the empty kitchen. "Why?" Not expecting an answer. But one came uninvited. A memory surfaced. Last Christmas. My mom smiling with forced warmth saying, "We just want peace this year, Ariana. No emotions. No heaviness." I laughed it off then. Now, felt like a knife. To them my presence was heaviness. My feelings were burdens. My grief made them uncomfortable. And if I was honest, there was something else. The accident. The one nobody talked about. The one that left a shadow over everything. My stomach tightened. Was that the reason? Did they still blame me? Was this punishment? Or worse, was this erasure? I stared out the window at the gray Portland sky, watching raindrops race down the glass. And another question hit me, one that lodged deep in my chest. If I hadn't called, would they ever have told me? Would I have shown up tomorrow dressed smiling, only to find an empty venue? Would they have laughed about it? Would they have pretended it was a simple mistake? A cold realization washed over me. They never planned to tell me. They wanted me nowhere near that wedding. Not even in the background. Not even as a guest. My phone buzzed. A message from my cousin Maya. Just 2 words. "Are you okay?" I hadn't told her anything. No one had. So how did she know? My heart raced. Did he go? Did he know I'd been excluded? Did she watch my family celebrate without me? Did she stay silent? My breath shook as I typed back. What happened? Before she replied, another thought hit me that made my hands go numb. Maya knew. Who else knew? Was the entire family in on it? Were there jokes? Whispered comments? Did someone raise a glass and say, "At least it's peaceful without Ariana here"? Tears filled my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. Not yet. Because under the pain, under the heartbreak, a new feeling sparked. Not anger. Not sadness. Resolve. If they thought they could erase me quietly, they were about to learn that I wasn't that easy to remove. My phone buzzed again. Maya. Ari. I need to tell you something. Call me. My throat tightened. Something in her wording felt heavy. Urgent. Dangerous. I swallowed hard, staring at my reflection in the black microwave door. Red eyes. Shaking hands. And one terrifying question. What if the wedding wasn't the real betrayal? What if this was just the beginning? I took a deep breath, picked up the phone, and dialed. What Maya told me next didn't just explain why I wasn't invited. It destroyed the story I had believed about my family for years. It revealed a secret that changed everything. And worst of all, everyone knew it. Except me. Stay with me. You need to hear this. Have you ever heard someone say a sentence so devastating that it rewrote your entire life in an instant? Because that's what happened next. I sat on my couch that night, the wedding invitation lying beside me like a crime scene photo. The gold lettering that looked so elegant earlier now felt like a mockery. Every curve of ink whispered, "You don't belong here." I kept staring at it, asking myself the same question over and over. Why would they do this? Why would my own family deliberately cut me out? The laughter I heard over the phone, the calm tone, the total lack of remorse. It didn't add up. Unless something deeper was hiding beneath the surface. Something ugly. Something I hadn't seen. My phone suddenly buzzed, the screen lighting up with a video call. Maya. My cousin. The only person in the family who ever treated me like I mattered. My heart skipped. She wouldn't call like this unless she knew something. I hesitated before answering, wiping my eyes quickly. Her face appeared on screen, concerned, tense, almost frightened. Ari, she said softly. Are you okay? That question broke the dam. No, I whispered. What's happening? Why didn't they want me there? Her expression changed. Not surprise. Not confusion. But dread. Like she'd been waiting for this moment. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. Maya, I pressed, voice shaking. Please. Just tell me. She swallowed hard. And then she said the sentence that made everything inside me freeze. Ari. They didn't want you there because of the accident. My whole body went numb. The accident. Those 2 words felt like a trapdoor opening under me. 3 years ago. Rainy night. Slippery roads. Headlights blinding us. Drunk teenagers speeding in the wrong lane. They hit Dad's car head-on. Dad survived. Mom survived. But Grandma. The breath left my lungs. What does that have to do with the wedding? I whispered. Maya looked away, guilt building in her eyes. They told everyone, she said quietly, that you refused to drive her that night, that you were being selfish, that you wanted to go out with friends, so she had to ride with them instead. My heart stopped. What? That's not true. I gasped. I begged her to stay home. She was tired. She didn't even want to go. Memories flooded back. Grandma rubbing her temples. Her saying she felt dizzy. Me telling her we could skip the event. Her laughing, patting my cheek, saying, I don't want them thinking I'm old and fragile. But Maya continued, voice trembling. Your mom told everyone you insisted she ride with them. She said you didn't want to be stuck babysitting her. My stomach twisted. That's a lie. I know, Maya said. I know. But they needed someone to blame. The room spun. My family blamed me for Grandma's death. They told people I caused it. That I chose a party over her. That she died because of me. No wonder the invitations dried up. No wonder I was suddenly excluded. No wonder people looked at me differently. They thought I killed her. I pressed my hand against my mouth, trying to hold back sobs. Maya, why didn't you tell me? Her eyes filled with tears. I tried, Ariana. I really did. But your mom said you were unstable, that talking about it would trigger you. She told everyone we needed to let you live with the consequences. Live with the consequences. Like I hadn't already been drowning in guilt for years. Like every night I didn't replay that moment, her stepping into the car, waving at me, smiling. Like every time I heard a horn or screeching tires I didn't flinch. I whispered. So they punished me. Maya shook her head. No, Ari, they erased you. Her words hit harder than anything else. Punishment still acknowledges someone exists. Erasure. That's worse. That's rewriting history without you in it. My voice shook. But Grandma insisted. She made the choice. Maya bit her lip. That's not how your mom sees it. She tells people Grandma only rode with them because you didn't want her. And since she died in that car. Her voice faded. My chest constricted. Mom thinks I killed her. Silence. Then Maya whispered. She told me she can't look at you without thinking of that night. I felt something inside me crack. Not anger. Not sadness. Something deeper. A grief that had never been allowed to heal. All these years I'd carried guilt quietly, believing my family was grieving alongside me. But while I was drowning, they were turning me into the villain. I whispered. Does Ethan believe it too? Maya hesitated. The hesitation told me the answer before she spoke. He does. A sharp pain tore through me. My big brother, the person I had always admired, defended, adored, believed I let Grandma die. That I abandoned her. No wonder he didn't want me at his wedding. A wedding full of speeches, family moments, photos. He didn't want the reason Grandma wasn't there ruining it. I wiped my face, voice breaking. Why didn't anyone ask me what happened? Maya whispered. Because your mom told everyone you refused to talk about it. She painted you as cold. Unremorseful. I almost laughed. I had cried alone for months. Gone to therapy. Had nightmares. Developed panic attacks. And they thought I felt nothing? Then another terrifying thought hit me. What did they tell Grandma's friends? The community. Maya looked sick. They think you avoided the funeral because you were guilty. My heart dropped. I was in the hospital. I cried. I had a concussion. The doctors told me not to travel. I know, she whispered. But your mom told everyone you couldn't face what you'd done. I stared at the ceiling, tears sliding down my temples. My family didn't just blame me. They destroyed my reputation. They turned everyone against me. They let me grieve alone so they could avoid their own guilt. My voice barely came out. Why are you telling me now? Maya took a deep breath. Because something happened at the wedding. My pulse spiked. What? She glanced over her shoulder, lowering her voice. Someone made a toast. They said the day was peaceful because the reason Grandma wasn't here wasn't there either. My heart seized. They toasted to my absence. They celebrated it. Maya continued. People laughed, Ariana. Your mother laughed. I covered my face, shaking. This wasn't just exclusion. This was cruelty. This was deliberate humiliation. This was hatred disguised as grief. But then Maya's tone shifted. Ari, that's not the worst part. I froze. What do you mean? She leaned closer to the camera. There's something else. Something your mom has been hiding. Something about that night. My breath caught. What? Maya looked terrified. I shouldn't say it over the phone. But you need to know the truth. She paused. Then whispered. Your mom wasn't supposed to be in that car either. My stomach dropped. What? She forced Grandma to go. And she forced herself to go. And there's a reason why. I sat up, heart pounding. What reason? Maya shook her head. I'll tell you tomorrow. But Ari. She held my gaze. Nothing about that night happened the way you think. The call ended. And I was left alone with a horrifying realization. If my mom had a reason to push Grandma into that car, maybe the accident wasn't just fate. Maybe someone else was responsible. Maybe the blame was never mine. The next morning, I confronted my family. I thought I was ready for answers. But what I learned, it didn't just shift the blame. It exposed a truth so dark. It shattered everything I thought I knew about my mother. And it proved one thing. She wasn't the victim. She was the cause. Have you ever walked into a room hoping for answers, only to realize everyone inside had already decided who you were? Not based on truth. Not based on facts. But based on the story that made them feel better. That was the moment I realized something terrifying. My family didn't just blame me. They needed me to be the villain. The next morning I barely slept. I kept replaying Maya's words. Nothing about that night happened the way you think. My mother forced Grandma to go. There was a reason. And she'd been hiding it. The more I thought about it, the more rage built. Not the explosive kind, but a slow, simmering fury that burned in my chest like a live coal. I needed answers. I needed the truth from their mouths. Not whispers. Not rumors. Not secondhand guilt. So I grabbed my keys, hands shaking, and drove to Salem where my parents lived. The whole drive felt unreal. Rain smeared the windshield. Streetlights blurred. My thoughts tangled. What reason could my mom possibly have had? Why force Grandma to go? Why lie about it? Why blame me? And worst of all, why celebrate my exclusion? I pulled into their driveway, my heart pounding. Their house looked the same as always, white siding, trimmed hedges, wind chimes tapping softly in the breeze. It looked peaceful. Normal. How could something that looked so ordinary hold so much cruelty? I walked up the steps and knocked. Hard. The door opened and my mom stood there, hair perfectly styled, makeup done, as if she hadn't spent the night laughing about excluding her daughter. Her eyes widened. Ari now isn't. You lied, I snapped, pushing the door open slightly. You sent me a fake date. Her lips tightened. She stepped back. Before she could respond, my dad appeared behind her. Arms crossed, jaw clenched like stone. You think after what you did, he said coldly, we'd risk you ruining Ethan's day? My chest tightened so hard I felt like I couldn't breathe. What I did? I choked out. Grandma insisted on going. Mom cut me off, voice sharp enough to slice. She insisted because she didn't want to upset you, she spat. You always needed things your way. Her eyes glistened with tears, but they weren't grief. They were rage. You killed her. Those 3 words hit me like a physical blow. My knees almost buckled. Dad didn't deny it. He looked away, jaw clenching tighter. And then, footsteps. Ethan walked into the hallway, adjusting his expensive watch, wearing a smug confidence like a tailored suit. He didn't look shocked to see me. He looked annoyed. She's right, he said, voice icy. Your drama follows you everywhere. Drama. That word echoed. My therapy sessions. My panic attacks. My grief. They called that drama. And the worst part? A dark truth slipped into my mind. Part of me believed them. Part of me had always believed them. Because I had carried that guilt for years, quietly, privately, letting it rot inside me. So hearing it spoken aloud felt like confirmation. I swallowed hard, fighting tears. You blamed me because it was easier, I said quietly. Because you couldn't face what really happened. Mom let out a bitter laugh. Oh please. You think we're the ones who can't face reality? You refused to drive her that night. That's not true. I shouted. I begged her to stay home. Dad stepped forward. You wanted to go out, he said. We know. My head snapped up. What? Who told you that? Mom crossed her arms. Your aunt said you mentioned plans. I canceled them. I cried. I stayed home with her all afternoon. Mom's eyes narrowed. And yet she still ended up in that car. Something twisted in my stomach. They weren't just blaming me. They had rewritten the entire narrative. To them, the cause and effect was simple. Grandma got in the car, she died, therefore I killed her. No context. No truth. Just a scapegoat. I took a shaky breath. Maya told me something, I said. She told me Grandma texted her that you forced her to go. Mom froze. Her expression flickered. Just for a second. Fear. Guilt. Something she didn't want exposed. Then she recovered, voice icy. Maya needs to keep her mouth shut. Dad muttered. That's family business. Family business. Meaning secrets. Lies. Blame. Anything to keep the facade intact. I stepped further inside. You didn't want her to ruin photos, did you? Mom's face hardened. That's ridiculous. But her voice trembled. I pressed. She was tired. She didn't want to go. You made her go because you cared more about appearances than her health. Mom's voice cracked. She wanted to support us. No, I whispered. You wanted her there. Then Ethan spoke, tone cold and dismissive. She's gone, Ari. Nothing you say changes that. My stomach dropped. Was that all Grandma was to them now? An inconvenience? A prop for family photos? I looked at my dad. You knew she shouldn't have gone, I said softly. Why didn't you stop her? His eyes darted away. He shook his head. She makes her own choices, he murmured. Cowardice. Pure cowardice. Mom suddenly snapped. You always made everything difficult, she screamed. Every holiday, every event. You always had feelings, always had needs, always crying, always anxious. We couldn't take it anymore. There it was. The real reason. My emotions were inconvenient. My grief was messy. My pain made them uncomfortable. So instead of supporting me, they turned me into the villain. I whispered, voice breaking. You erased me to protect your image. Mom didn't deny it. She just said, we needed peace. Peace. That word hit differently. To them, peace meant no reminders, no guilt, no accountability, no Ariana. My hands were shaking. You lied to everyone, I said. To protect yourself. Mom leaned in, eyes burning. You want the truth? She hissed. Fine. She pointed a trembling finger at me. Your grandmother got in that car because she didn't want you throwing a fit. Because you guilt her. If she had stayed with you, she would still be alive. My breath caught. Because buried beneath the spite was something horrifying. She believed it. She genuinely believed I killed her mother. Not metaphorically. Literally. And then in a voice so quiet I almost didn't hear it, Dad whispered. We lost her because of you. Everything inside me cracked. Not because they accused me, but because I realized they needed this story. They needed a villain. Because if I wasn't responsible, then who was? My mother. The one who pushed Grandma to go. The one who insisted on appearances. The one who forced the issue. She couldn't live with that guilt. So she handed it to me. Wrapped in lies. Delivered in whispers. Spread through family. Accepted as truth. And now, confronted with evidence, cornered by reality, she doubled down. Because the alternative would destroy her. I turned toward the door. I'm done, I said. I won't carry this for you anymore. Mom scoffed. You think walking away changes anything? You'll always be the reason she's gone. I stopped, slowly turned back, and said something I didn't plan. Something that slipped out like fate. Maya told me you weren't supposed to be in that car either. Everything went silent. Mom's face drained of color. Dad's eyes widened. Ethan stiffened. There it was. The crack in their story. The fear. The secret. I stepped closer. Why were you in that car, Mom? Her lip trembled. She opened her mouth. Closed it. For the first time. She looked scared. Truly scared. I leaned in. What were you running from that night? Her eyes filled with panic. And she whispered, get out. That reaction told me everything. My mother wasn't just hiding guilt. She was hiding something much darker. Something that made her willing to destroy her own daughter's life. And the truth? I was about to uncover it. And when I did, everything exploded. Have you ever learned a truth so heavy, so devastating, that it didn't just change what you remembered? It changed the meaning of every memory you ever had? Because that's what happened next. And the worst part? The truth wasn't new. It had been sitting there the whole time, hidden in plain sight, while I tore myself apart with guilt. When I left my parents' house that day, I wasn't angry anymore. Not in the explosive, shaking way I expected. It was something else. A cold, focused calm. Like the moment before a storm hits, when the air goes still and you know something big is coming. I drove home in silence. No music. No podcast. Just the sound of my own breathing, too loud in the quiet car. Every word they said echoed over and over. You killed her. You wanted to go out. We lost her because of you. Should have broken me. But instead something inside me shifted. Because beneath the accusations, I saw fear. Not fear of what I might do. Fear of what I might discover. When I walked through my apartment door, my hands were still shaking, but my mind had never felt clearer. I picked up the wedding invitation from the coffee table, staring at the gold lettering again. Tomorrow. They never sent the wrong date. They had rewritten the story so many times that lying had become their truth. I was ready to throw it away, to cut every tie, block every number, and disappear from their lives forever. I didn't want answers anymore. I wanted distance. I wanted peace. I wanted to finally stop bleeding for people who never cared whether I lived or died. Then my phone rang. Maya. Again. I almost ignored it. But something in me hesitated. She had been the only one willing to tell me anything. I answered. Her voice was tight, urgent, nothing like before. Ariana, listen. I've been keeping something from you. My breath caught. What now? I whispered. She inhaled shakily. The night of the accident, she said. Grandma texted me. My heart stopped. What? She texted me saying your mom forced her to go. She was exhausted, dizzy, and wanted to stay home. But your mom didn't want her to ruin the family photo tradition. My vision blurred. That phrase, family photo tradition, hit like a punch. I remembered it. Every holiday, every event, my mom obsessively arranged photos. Perfect outfits. Perfect smiles. Perfect framing. For social media. For neighbors. For appearances. Image mattered more than anything. Even more than comfort. Even more than health. Even more than family. She said. Maya continued softly. She wished she'd stayed home with you. My knees buckled. I dropped onto the couch, hand over my mouth. Grandma wanted to stay. She wanted to stay with me. All these years I believed I should have forced her to stay home. But the truth? I did try. She insisted on going because she thought that was what I wanted. But now I knew. She didn't want to go. She felt pressured. By my mother. My voice cracked. Why didn't you tell me? Maya hesitated. Your mom told everyone not to say anything. She said it would destroy you. But honestly. Her voice wavered. I think she was scared of what it would do to her. There it was. The real reason. My mom wasn't protecting me. She was protecting herself. Maya, I whispered. Send me the messages. She didn't hesitate. Seconds later, screenshots appeared. Texts from Grandma. Short. Tired. Weak. I really don't feel up for this. Marie insists I go. She says people will talk if I stay home. Wish I could just stay with Ari tonight. My hand shook so violently I almost dropped the phone. My mom pushed Grandma to go. My mom caused the situation she blamed me for. And the worst part? She knew it. Suddenly all the pieces clicked. My mom's rage. Her accusations. Her obsession with blaming me. It wasn't grief. It was projection. She couldn't live with the guilt. So she gave it to me. Wrapped it in lies. Forced it onto my shoulders. And I carried it. For years. I pressed the phone to my chest, tears falling silently. All the nights I cried myself to sleep thinking it was my fault. All the panic attacks. All the therapy. All the self-hatred. All because she couldn't face her own choices. But something else struck me. Something darker. Something Maya had mentioned earlier. My mother wasn't supposed to be in that car either. Why did she go? Why did she insist Grandma go? What was she running from? Maya, I whispered, voice trembling. Why did Mom go? She hates driving at night. She never goes anywhere in the rain. There was a long pause. Then Maya whispered, "That's the part you don't know." My heart hammered. She and your dad were fighting. Badly. She didn't want to stay alone with you. I froze. What? Why? She said being around you reminded her of everything she regretted. She told people she felt trapped being in the house with you. The word sliced through me. Trapped. By her own daughter. I felt sick. So she dragged Grandma along. I whispered, realization dawning. To avoid being alone with me. To avoid confronting her own resentment. To avoid guilt. To avoid responsibility. And suddenly, the moral line blurred. Because for the first time I understood. My mom wasn't just cruel. She was broken. Crushed by guilt. Desperate to escape. And in her desperation, she made a choice that cost someone their life. And instead of facing that, she built a story where I was the villain. Because if it was my fault, she didn't have to live with the weight. Maya's voice trembled. Ari. There's something else. My stomach twisted. What now? She told people that if she had stayed home, she would have died instead. That fate was meant to take someone. I stared blankly. My mother turned her guilt into a twisted narrative. Someone had to die. And she chose the person she could emotionally sacrifice. Her elderly mother. And then blamed the one person she emotionally resented. Me. I whispered, horrified. She punished me to survive. Maya didn't respond. She didn't have to. We both knew. But then Maya's tone changed. Ari, you need to hear this part. I braced myself. The reason she didn't want to stay alone with you that night. My breath caught. She told people you were planning to leave. That you were going to move out. And she panicked. I blinked. What? I never said that. I know. But she overheard you talking to Grandma about wanting independence. She thought you were leaving her. My heart dropped. Oh my God. My mom wasn't afraid of being alone in the house. She was afraid of being abandoned. She forced Grandma to go. Because she didn't want to feel replaced. She blamed me. Because she felt rejected. And suddenly the villain didn't look like a monster. She looked like a terrified, guilt-ridden woman making awful decisions to protect her ego and avoid pain. It didn't excuse anything. But it explained everything. My anger didn't disappear. But it changed shape. It became sharper. More focused. Purposeful. Because now I knew. My mother wasn't grieving me. She was protecting herself. I wiped my tears and whispered, "Thank you, Maya." She hesitated. Ari, what are you going to do? I stared at the screenshots. At the truth I had been denied for years. I stood slowly. My voice calm. Now? I'm going to take back what they stole from me. My peace. But I had no idea. That the secret I now held wasn't the only one. There was something even darker buried beneath it. Something that would flip the entire story upside down. Because when I confronted my family again, I discovered a truth so shocking. It didn't just expose my mother. It exposed all of them. And it proved one terrifying thing. They weren't done hurting me. Have you ever reached a point where the hurt becomes so deep, so absolute, that you stop wanting answers and start wanting consequences? Because that's where I was. This wasn't about a wedding anymore. This wasn't even about the accident. This was about years of being used, blamed, erased, and sacrificed so my family could avoid facing their own guilt. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't going to bleed quietly for them. After learning the truth from Maya, something inside me snapped into place. Not broken. Aligned. Like all the scattered pieces of pain suddenly formed a single sharp blade. I wasn't just the unwanted daughter anymore. I was the one holding the only real power they had left. And they didn't even know it. See, after the accident, when my parents were drowning in debt, facing foreclosure, crying about losing the only home they'd ever known, I bought the house. With Grandma's inheritance. I put the deed in my name thinking it would protect them. Thinking it would bring us closer. Thinking they would finally see me as part of the family. They didn't thank me. They didn't acknowledge the sacrifice. They simply moved in, bragged about their property, rented out the basement for extra cash, and told everyone they had worked so hard to keep the home. Meanwhile, I paid the taxes. I paid the maintenance. I paid the insurance. They lived off my generosity while poisoning my name. And now? Now they were celebrating excluding me, toasting to my absence, calling me the reason Grandma died, laughing. So yes, I wanted them to feel the consequences of what they'd done, not out of revenge alone, but because I finally realized something devastating. They would never stop hurting me as long as I kept saving them. Love, forgiveness, patience, they meant nothing to them. But losing comfort? Losing security? Losing the life they built on my sacrifice? That they would feel. So I hired a lawyer. Her name was Claire Voss, sharp as ice, calm as stone. When I told her everything, she didn't look shocked. She didn't give me pity. She simply said, "You've been enabling them. Let's correct that." In less than an hour, she laid out documents that transferred every mortgage payment, every debt, every financial responsibility back to my parents. If they failed to pay, they would lose the house. Their perfect image? Gone. Their comfort? Gone. Their pride? Gone. And for the first time, they would feel even a fraction of what they'd put me through. As I signed the papers, Claire paused. "Do you want to proceed with eviction?" I stared at the line where my signature would go. Evict them. Force them out. Make them feel the abandonment they forced on me. My hand hovered. I imagined my mother's face when she learned the truth. I imagined my father scrambling. I imagined Ethan cursing my name. Part of me wanted it. Part of me needed it. So I nodded. Yes. That moment should have felt empowering. It didn't. Instead, a heavy sadness seeped into me. Because revenge, when it stops being hypothetical, stops tasting sweet. Tastes like grief. Like loss. Like the final nail in a coffin you never wanted to build. I got home exhausted, mentally drained, emotionally hollow. I sat on the couch, staring at the eviction notice on the table. And for the first time since the wedding call, I cried. Not small, quiet tears. The kind that rip through you. The kind that make your chest ache. The kind that come from years of holding everything in. Because I realized something horrifying. Even after everything they'd done, I still wanted a mother. I still wanted a father. I still wanted a brother who loved me. And I would never have that. Then, a knock. Not loud. Not aggressive. Soft. Hesitant. Like the person on the other side wasn't sure they deserved to be there. I wiped my face, confused. When I opened the door, I froze. It was Lena, my brother's fiancée. Her eyes were red and swollen, mascara smudged down her cheeks. She looked like she'd been crying for hours. "Ariana," she whispered, voice trembling. "Can I come in?" I should have shut the door. She was part of the family now. Part of the people who excluded me. She attended the wedding. She smiled for the pictures. She danced. She toasted. While I sat alone. But something in her expression stopped me. She wasn't defensive. She wasn't angry. She looked broken. I stepped aside. She walked in slowly, wringing her hands. "I'm so sorry," she said, voice cracking. "I didn't know." I stared at her, silent. She swallowed hard. "Your mom told everyone you refused to drive Grandma because you wanted to go to a party." The words hit like burning oil. So that was the version my mother spread. The narrative that made me look selfish, irresponsible, cruel. I felt my jaw clench. "And you believed her," I said flatly. Lena flinched but didn't look away. "Yes, I did." Tears spilled down her face. "But yesterday, someone told me the truth." My breath caught. "Who?" She took a shaky breath. "Your grandma's neighbor. The one she always baked for." I nodded slowly. "She said she watched you beg your mom to let Grandma rest. She said she saw your mom push her to go anyway." My chest tightened. I wasn't alone that night. Someone saw. Someone knew. Someone remembered. Lena covered her mouth, sobbing. "I trusted them," she whispered. "I thought they were protecting me. I thought you were dangerous to their peace." She shook her head. "But now I see they were protecting themselves. Not from you, from their guilt." Her voice broke completely. "And I'm so sorry I believed them." Then she did something no one in my family had done in years. She stood up, crossed the room, and hugged me. Not politely. Not stiffly. Not out of pity. She held me like someone who understood the weight I'd been carrying. Like someone who wished they could lift it. My body stiffened at first. I hadn't been hugged like that since before the accident. But then, I broke. I sobbed into her shoulder, shaking, letting out years of pain. She whispered, "I want you in our lives. I want you at future holidays. I want you at our wedding anniversary dinners. I want you to be aunt to our kids. Please, please don't let them take that away from us." And in that moment something shifted again. Because this kindness, this genuine apology, this connection, came from the one person who gained nothing by offering it. She wasn't trying to fix her guilt. She wasn't protecting her image. She wasn't manipulating me. She simply cared. But then she pulled back, eyes wide with fear. "There's something else," she whispered. "Something you need to know." My heart stopped. Her voice dropped to a trembling whisper. "Your mom told everyone a lie about the night of the accident. But she also hid something. Something that could destroy your family completely." I stared at her. "What are you talking about?" She looked toward the door, as if afraid someone had followed her. Then she leaned closer. "The fight that night? It wasn't between your parents." My stomach twisted. "Then who?" She swallowed. "It was between your mom and Ethan." That sentence changed everything. Because if Ethan was involved, if he knew something, then his silence wasn't just cruelty. It was protection. For himself. And the truth I was about to uncover? It wouldn't just explain the accident. It would expose a betrayal so deep. It would make everything before it look mild. Stay with me. You need to hear this. Have you ever reached a moment where everything that hurt you finally turns back toward the people who caused it? Not through revenge. Not through violence. But through truth. Through undeniable, unstoppable truth. Because that's what this chapter is. The moment everything they built on lies collapsed. After Lena left that night, after she revealed that the fight wasn't between my parents, but between my mother and Ethan, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept racing. If Ethan was involved, if he knew something, then the silence he kept for years wasn't just cruelty. It was protection. Protection for himself. Protection for the story they all agreed to tell. And suddenly, everything made sense. Why he supported excluding me. Why he looked annoyed when I confronted them. Why he never questioned my absence. Because if I showed up, if I spoke, if the truth slipped out, his part might have been exposed. By morning something had changed inside me. No more shaking hands. No more racing thoughts. Just clarity. Not rage. Clarity. I wasn't going to them for closure anymore. I wasn't going for validation. I was going to end this story. On my terms. I printed everything. The texts from Grandma. The screenshots. The financial documents. The legal filings. The eviction notice. Every piece of truth they tried to bury. Then I drove to Salem. Not trembling. Not crying. Calm. Like someone walking into the final scene of a movie they already knew the ending to. When I knocked on the door, my mother opened it. And for the first time, she looked afraid before she saw what I carried. "You again," she snapped, voice defensive. I didn't respond. I simply lifted the folder. Grandma's messages. Her exhaustion. Her fear. Her wish to stay with me. My mother went pale. Not guilty pale. Exposed pale. The color of someone whose mask just cracked. Dad appeared behind her. "What is that?" he whispered. I laid the papers on the dining table. Grandma's texts. Her saying she was dizzy. Her saying she wished she could stay home. Her saying my mother insisted she go. Dad's face drained completely. He whispered, "Marie, is that real?" My mother lunged forward, trying to snatch the pages. I pulled them back. My voice steady. "You blamed me because you couldn't live with what you did." She froze. Her shoulders sagged. And then, something I never expected happened. She collapsed into a chair, sobbing, not grieving, breaking. "I didn't want to lose her," she whispered. "I forced her. And I needed someone else to blame." Hearing her admit it, it didn't feel satisfying. It felt devastating. Because suddenly, the villain I'd built in my mind wasn't a monster. She was a coward. A broken woman who destroyed her own daughter to avoid looking in a mirror. Dad sank into a chair, face in his hands. "We thought if you carried it," he whispered, "we wouldn't have to." My stomach twisted. They didn't just blame me. They handed me their guilt like a burden and expected me to carry it forever. But then I turned to the doorway because I felt someone watching. It was Ethan, standing there, expression unreadable. I stared at him. "You fought with her that night." His jaw clenched. Mom gasped. "Ethan." But he didn't deny it. He looked at me, eyes hollow. "She told me she wished you had never been born," he said quietly. Mom let out a strangled sound. "She said everything went wrong after you came along. That grandma babied you, that you made her feel like a bad mother. I told her she was being cruel." His voice cracked. "She tried to force grandma to stay home. Grandma refused. They argued. Mom stormed out and dragged her into the car." My breath stopped. "So you knew," I whispered. "All this time?" He nodded. I was ashamed. And when the accident happened, Mom said if anyone knew she pushed grandma to go, it would destroy her. She begged me to let you take the blame. I stepped back. The betrayal hit deeper than anything else. He hadn't just believed the lies. He helped build them. Mom cried harder. "I couldn't lose both of you," she sobbed. "I couldn't lose her and then have you hate me." I shook my head. "You didn't just lose me. You threw me away." Dad spoke again, desperate. "We can fix this. We can go to therapy. We can." "No," I cut in. My voice steady. Not angry. Resolved. "I'm done carrying your guilt." Dad looked terrified. "What about the house?" I took a deep breath. This was the moment. The moment that defined what kind of person I would become. Would I destroy them? Evict them? Make them feel the abandonment they forced on me? I looked around. At the walls grandma helped decorate. At the photos she framed. At the garden she planted. This wasn't just a house. It was the last place she ever lived. If I took it, her memory would become a weapon. And I refused to let them poison that too. So I said the words that stunned everyone. "You'll keep it. I'm signing it over." Mom looked up confused. "Why?" I felt tears rise, not of pain but release. "Because I don't want my freedom tied to your suffering." Silence. Heavy. Thick. They expected revenge. They deserved consequences. But true revenge, true justice, is walking away without carrying the weight they tried to give you. As I turned to leave, Ethan followed me onto the porch. "I don't deserve forgiveness," he said quietly. "No," I replied. "You don't." He swallowed, tears forming. "But," I placed a hand on his arm, "you have someone who does. Don't ruin it." He nodded, breaking. And for the first time I saw the guilt he'd hidden. But it wasn't my responsibility to heal him. When I reached my car, I exhaled. For the first time in years, my chest felt light. Not empty. Free. 6 months later, I stand on the balcony of my sunny apartment overlooking the Willamette River. Morning light dances on the water. I breathe easily. I work as a youth counselor now, helping others through grief, guilt, and family trauma, turning my pain into purpose. The life I'm building? It's mine. Not defined by their shame. Not shaped by their expectations. Mine. My relationship with Lena has grown into a true friendship. We cook together. We laugh. We talk about healing boundaries, breaking cycles. Her kindness was the spark that reminded me. Not everyone in that family was lost. My parents? Still in the house. Still dealing with their guilt. Still living with the consequences of their choices. Not because I punished them, but because guilt doesn't disappear when you give it away. It stays with the person who created it. And Ethan? He's trying. Slowly. Carefully. We're not close. Maybe we never will be. But he respects my boundaries now. And that's enough. So here's what I learned. Sometimes revenge isn't destroying someone. It isn't taking everything they love. It isn't watching them fall apart. Sometimes the most powerful revenge is refusing to carry the weight they put on you, letting them face themselves, letting them live with the truth, while you walk away and build a life full of peace. And that's exactly what I did. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If it touched you, if you felt the emotions, if you understand what it means to reclaim your life, please let me know. Leave a comment, hit the like button, share your thoughts and experiences, and don't forget to subscribe to Venge Tale Story for more powerful stories of strength, justice, and emotional transformation. Because trust me, there are many more tales to tell, and you don't want to miss what comes next.